How's it going, Ling? How is it today?
Good morning and good afternoon.
We've had our own adventure trying to make this call happen, but we finally have done it. You are here, I'm here, and it's no coincidence that I'm so thrilled to see you because you are a happiness coach, in fact. So, in addition to being a yoga instructor, you essentially help guide people to reconnect with the art of living. And I love that. You help people to become their more radiant selves. So
Well,
thank you
you
for
are
being on my
already radiant, so I mean,
It's that afternoon nap that definitely does wonders, basically. But yeah, so I want to tap into your wisdom today because you're a person who inspires me for many, many reasons. But one is that you're always evolving and always changing. Like I think when I met you here in Helsinki, you're in London now, but when I met you in Helsinki, you were in marketing and you had come from, I think you were doing some teaching before or something like this. You've done quite a few things in your life and such. You've lived in many different places.
not that many, but okay, yeah.
No, you've hopped around a bit, and you never are afraid to jump into the next chapter of your life. And I love that about you. So I wanted to, understand a bit more about
How
this
I
process
jump.
of changing for you and how do
How
you
I
jump
jump.
and and what gives you that boldness to be able to just seize the next moment in your life?
Hmm. I believe we better really live to our full potential in this life because life is very precious. And so I don't buy the notion of wasting time, of doing nothing. And then since I have to live my life to the fullest, I realized that there's my own version of happiness and success, which may not be the typical one according to societal standard. Just a disclaimer, I'm never an anarchist. I'm not an outcast in that sense, but ever since from my childhood, I know I am slightly different from whatever others are doing. So of, of course, I cannot say that was a completely comfortable journey. I learned a lot throughout that journey, and I'm still learning about that. And so that's give me a little bit more courage throughout the years, more and more courage to do my thing, just because I really realized that I have to be honest with myself. My own happiness, it's it's something that I need to feed myself because if I just go with whatever is prescribed in society. I have done some trial and errors and testing around, but it's just really does not resonate. So yeah, that's first of all, like I'm just being honest with myself. I listen to myself. Maybe it's a little bit of that kind of optimism. Whenever I make a decision, there's no more doubts of whether this is the right decision. Because I know many people struggle with that. It's like, I hope I made a right decision. But you make it right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what I realized also throughout the years, whenever I step out of my comfort zone, when I do something, it's impossible to have all the steps. It's really impossible. You cannot plan everything, but you can always get help. And when you take one step forward, actually, you're on a foggy road, you're driving, but you still trust your car and you still trust your headlights and you still keep on moving forward and there will be a sign bit by bit. And that's how it navigates life. When you take one step forward, you will meet the right people or you encounter the right opportunity, open the right door. Maybe you still need to open multiple doors, but you really just need to take that step forward. Then you can see more. But if you never step out, you never take that action, you never click that button or do that thing, then those things, it's just outside of that periphery, but then you can reach it. Because once you're out there, you will open a bit more, a bigger vista, a bigger horizon.
Mm. No, it is. It's interesting. I think I meet people all the time who can feel a bit stuck. I was talking to some family back in the States, and I remember just asking about some life choices and some decisions and such. And it was interesting because they're like, well, I know maybe this is not the best place for me, or it's not like the best thing for me necessarily, but I kind of feel stuck. And that's a hard mentality to overcome. I think
Mm.
it's a difference between the reality and the mentality. I think there are both things you have to contend with. There are some
Of
logistic
course.
things, there are financial things, there are real, very real things to consider. But there's also the idea of opening yourself to the possibility of possibilities, And I think that's something that's a bit harder sometimes. It's a hard challenge,
But
to
the problem,
overcome.
what I see very common, as a coach, people usually show up when they are either, burnouts, got a breakup, got laid off. Sorry, but like it's just the reality. People would not change until something hits. I also did not change until something hits hard, even though I was already on my so-called off the beaten path.
Mhm.
That's my observation. People easily let environments influence them. And I really believe you need to stick with your vision, and your vision will guide you forward, because like the vision is a higher level, and the environments, everything can happen when you go onto the streets, like suddenly the pipe breaks and the bus stops and then there's a traffic jam and whatever. But you still need to have that vision. Your routes may be different. And also why it brings up environments is because then we easily become super reactive.
Mm.
There's a traffic jam. No, then you have road rage. And fortunately, when I was younger, then I have many opportunities to somehow get out of my comfort zone. And I realized the beauty of getting out of my comfort zone at the age of 17 when I went to Finland for high school exchange. I spent a year in Finland from Hong Kong to rural Finland. I have to emphasize that, rural Finland. And so ever since then, I always intentionally or unintentionally as well get out of my comfort zone every month, every year. There's always something, because I know nothing. And so instead of waiting for a crisis to happen or something happen in society environments, you can train your confidence muscle. You can train your get out of your comfort zone muscles or change muscle. The brain is just, it's a gym, and everything can be rewired because it's just how we have been taught in our childhood. And of course, it's also human nature. If you really look at our brain, then we really like there's the fight and flight mode, and we really seek comfort and security. But comfort and security may not be serving for our highest potential. For example, because like public speaking is one of the biggest fears for many, many people. Like, there's a study and then it's like as high as like death. But in our brain, it doesn't make the difference. It's just like, oh, I feel so scared, so frightened, and the brain produce all types of crazy signals and then just, but you're not dying. So, but that's why like it's a long answer, but it's definitely can be trained. That's fear. You can tame it and you can look at it, observe it, be playful. But at the same time, it's just don't wait for that big moments. Again, once again, I repeat, don't wait for that burnout, panic attack, anxiety, laid off, breakup, and everything, because people react at those moments. And I'm just getting impatient. No, please, like learn to observe your emotions. Things will get way better.
I was going to ask, what are the smaller signals that people should listen for, or like pay attention to? How can you, if you're only used to like listening to yourself and to, those massive signals that are more like those blaring horns in your life, what do you listen for that's a little bit softer than that?
Well, we use our logic mind a lot, which is normal. We need that in life. But really, for happiness, which many people also ties their career and success and achievements with their happiness, which is also okay if you want to. Um, but we are all different. So of course, we have different inspiration, aspiration, motivation, determination. And that's why the listening part is so important, because when media, especially social media nowadays, and also at school, parents, our environments have certain standard or just maybe, majority of opinions. And also, especially as a kid, when we did not have the tools to decipher what is ours, what is theirs. And of course, we take, adults' opinions as the yes, sir order and everything is correct. So to listen, I think we need to start just really a little moments of stillness, and as simple as like today for lunch, for example, would you like to have tomato soup or white soup? And what makes you, feel a bit lighter and happier? And as simple as that, like there's always a preference. So I think train the tiny preference, and bits by bits, when it gets trained, then you know what you want, and it's compounds everything, because it's the same thing. Like once you train that little detector, it will become like a dating app, and you will swipe very fast, and like the left and right thing, so it will be very fast. It's like instant, and it's become ingrained in your brain. So I would say always start small, but maybe you have noticed, like, also, like, don't wait for the big moments in your life, like, oh, should I relocate now? Okay, like, it's also a valid point that you need to see what you really crave and long for and aspire to. But on the other hand, by training every day in your life, like, oh, I'm going for a walk, like, so I don't have a specific destination. So should I go left or right? Left or right? Left or right? Would I want to go to the mountaintop, or would I want to go to the seaside?
Okay, so give me an example in terms of for you. You left Finland and you moved to the UK, right? What was that decision process for you to say, okay, I've been here all these years. You were a permanent resident, I think, at that point. Or yeah.
I know
And
Finnish language and culture.
exactly, like you were in commercials here and everything and such. Like you were like in the culture. You were here. And then you decided to move. So what was the thing that signaled to you that it was time to make that change in your life?
Mm, you have all the big questions. Okay.
You
It's
know me.
okay.
This is how
I'm
it
up
works.
for deep talk. I don't do small talk, so it's okay. It's just requires 5 seconds of loading time. And well, it had been brewing for quite a while, and I have been observing always. First of all, remember that's my aspiration. I have certain type of things in my mind always. That's what I want to do. And I always check to see whether I can do it. And I would be honest, I felt like I have done my best, my very best, to create the type of dreams that I would like to. But maybe sometimes the environment may not provide, and that's why I quit.
Yeah.
Of course, like it can. And I think there are many routes to do things. It's not like I have to be here forever. I think for certain phase, it's also okay to get inspiration, which means, for example, London is a good example because it's a mecca of, it's a melting pot, basically. It's a mecca for everything. And so my first year here, I literally just opened my eyes, because also, even though I was aware in Finland, but still I got into my default mode to do something repeatedly until I encountered differences that forced me to stop and reflect, because it's interrupted my pattern. It's still interrupting. But this is how we change our behavior. And I know I'm like speaking on a very abstract level. For example, like I was side hustling for 2 years in Finland previously when I had a day job, and I was a happiness coach and I was teaching yoga in yoga studios. And it's not that easy, maybe, to bring new ideas. I'm a creative type, so I really like to experiment many things in different formats. And yeah, like, so to me, it's just my observation and how much I have changed. uh, or how much I have put my inputs into that context. And then I would just, make a list like, okay, is it me or them? And can I change, or can I influence? I don't want to use change because it's more about influence. Can I influence how much I can, to what extent I can influence? And if I see that, what, maybe right now, like I'm on my side hustle journey for 2 years, and I better save my battery because life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So then, like, maybe I just need to go to a more fertile ground for a while. Who knows? Maybe I can still contribute back to Finland. Finland is very dear to me, but then right now, I would choose to be a sponge and observe and play something else. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because I was thinking about this today. I was going through and I have my little spreadsheet, in fact, my LAMP. So it has an acronym to it. So a life actions mathematical planner. All right. And so I use this to like illuminate my decisions in some ways. And I look at, the different things I could possibly do. And I look at my values and I rank the values and things, or I will weight them based off of the things I am currently prioritizing right now in my life. And then I score everything. And then that's what I use to choose in some ways or select some of those things that I should invest more of my time in or less of my time in. And
We have a
that
similar system, actually. But it's just, I don't put it on an Excel. I use it more like my internal processor over here. So there's a supercomputer here, and I'm just, but it's still like vision and values. It's very important. They are
yeah.
very important.
Exactly. And then sometimes you can look at your life and you can consider the things that you're doing or where you're doing it, and how you're doing it. And you're thinking, I wonder, does this actually go to support the things that I really want to do? And you have to sometimes just kind of sit back and this is for me what I'm doing like right before my birthday. So I've got a birthday coming up and I'm one I consider what do I want to do for this upcoming year? And what do I want to bring into that? And that helps me to do that a lot. When it comes to locations, I also think about things like if this is the value that I have, does the place that I'm in support the value that I want to build on right now, you know? And you're right about the fertile ground situation. Like you want to think about, is this the ground where when you plant yourself, is it going to grow the things that you want to grow in your inside yourself and in your life?
I guess I'm also more, maybe because of my optimism. When I say, even though I say the pros and cons lists, actually, I seldom focus on the cons because I'm a very vision oriented person. I focus what's that thing, that's action, or that's place, or that's whatever can offer and I can offer back. Because I look into possibilities and potential rather than like keep on complaining about like this is da 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 da. Because I would rather like spend more time to cultivate the possibilities.
You know, I think about it from different ways. So one of my favorite thoughts in the world is that life is full of possibilities. That's, I would say for about half of my life, that was my favorite phrase, that I would just keep in the back of my head. But another thing I think about though is from the other side of it, the avoidance of regret, you know?
Mm,
And I do think about, if I did something or if I didn't do something, would I regret this?
mm.
And that also does kind of affect the actions and the choices that I make in life. But for me, I think about the opportunities that I want to take. Not every opportunity is going to take you in the direction that you really want to go. And not everything is going to grow you in the way that you're trying to develop yourself. So if we think about, for instance, location wise or career wise or relationship wise, or, whatever decision a person's trying to make, you think about what have you been dissatisfied with for a while? Like if for me, that's a signal. If I see that I've complained about something for a while, if I thought about
Mm,
something and from a negative angle for a while,
mm.
it's something that I realize that I am trying to mitigate for, you have to also consider,
It's a signal.
yeah, it's a signal. Like you
It's a
have to really
signal.
start thinking like, if you spend so much energy trying to mitigate this decision or mitigate this choice, maybe that's not the choice to make,
Mhm.
Like maybe this is the time to actually to do something different.
Exactly. This is what I always say. Like, if people are hesitant, okay, then you don't really like this piece of clothing. Dish it. Because the hesitance, there's some no. Then, like, why not you buy something you fully love, for example?
Yeah, yeah.
It's that's sometimes I think we overcomplicate many things. But on the other hand, I must get back to you on. I truly believe somehow my family and my mom they have always encouraged and taught me when I was a kid, like, you learn a lot from everything. And so giving things a try, I still believe it's it may not show the direct outcome benefits instantly, but somehow, because when our horizon is broadened, there's more breadth or space for things, and skills are transferable. So I really think that's by experiencing more, you enrich your life, and it will come back to you somehow. Because I remember, even like when I was um, back in Finland, when I was teaching a group of unemployed international marketing, and I told them one of the most impactful job or gigs I had was actually when I was a student, and I worked for Asian Financial Forum, and I was just an events helper. And I have to collect survey feedback from all the CEOs, CFOs,
Mm,
like C-suits level. And
mm,
they were just busy. And I have to collect freaking survey. And I was like, and there was a quota. And I did not know how I did it. I did not give up. But it was really, I was like, in the beginning, I was like, gosh, but somehow, how to open a conversation, how to approach people, how to get something done, how to influence. And actually, like, it was very interesting talking to all types of people, but actually it helps in many, many, many scenarios, which I did not know, but I was, I don't know, 19, 20.
mm, mm.
But that's why I say, like, we never know how those experiences would help us, but it's they would definitely enrich us.
Yeah. I would say is making certain that you're open to processing the experiences that you're in. I think about this sometimes. I lived in Spain, right? I was in Spain. Um, I didn't have a lot of deep connections there. I did the thing I was there to do. I got my teaching certification when I was, living there and such, and I did some work there. But I didn't have, such depth of experience. So my experience was there, but like to this day, I can barely remember it. Like someone could mention something like, "Oh yeah, I know that area. I used, or but it's definitely not something that I got a lot out of because I wasn't really so invested in the place where I was when I was there. Conversely, when I was living in Brazil, I really got a lot out of that experience. I was very immersed in that experience, and I felt a lot from there, and I got and I grew a lot from there. I would say, um, but it's not just being in a place, physically. It's not just being in a situation as what exists there, but also making certain that you are fully in that moment when you're there. It's so easy to be someplace and think back about like the experiences you have had before or the things that you're working for in the future and not necessarily being in the moment, for the time that you're there. But I know that's a big thing for you for mindfulness. You are one of the people who definitely considers these aspects of things.
And I think many people may have forgotten that, yes, being present is important. It's okay to live in the past when you are extracting learnings, but after extracting learnings, okay, presence, because it creates a future. Yeah, there's seasonality in life, and sometimes, like, we expect, oh, yeah, yeah, but then it's, you know, we have phases. There's the springtime, but even before all flowers bloom and blossoms and sprouts, like, there's still the germination phase. And sometimes we just forgot because right now we always crave instant gratification. So it's a cycle always. There's up and downs. And probably, like, Spain still gives you a lot, but maybe it's just, in different way, and maybe more subtle also. Like, you depends which phase you were in. So I still believe many things can still give something out of it.
Seasonality of life is a good point to think about. I mean, I was having this conversation with Baya and we were discussing about like every season's valuable, and
Definitely.
it's a thing where sometimes you, especially when you're like an entrepreneur or, and you're you love those moments, those points where things are just happening, But there's also the investment point. There's a time when you are planting leads, a time when you're developing yourself. So there's even a time when you're just resting.
Yep.
There's that
Yep.
point where you're just resting to allow yourself to be able to absorb more and to allow yourself to be able to grow more. But like those seasons all have value. And I think that's an
Yes.
important thing to consider as well. But yeah, it's a thing to be able to recognize the value in different points that you're in, and then also
And
to
to
be
enjoy
able,
the process,
yeah,
like, because we
yeah,
always wait for the end to celebrate. And okay, I've done something, but how about all the middle parts and in betweens and the transitions and like all the hard work? They are also valid as well. So
yeah. I am curious about the season of life that you're in. So right now, what's the thing that you're celebrating? What's the thing that you're growing towards and enjoying?
it's been quite fun. I must say, my first year in London is not just easy peasy and just high tea or whatever. And on the other hand, I've enjoyed life, don't worry. And I'm not antisocial. So I have bits by bits built up my foundation and reconnected back with my deepest desire to be really creative with whatever I do. Of course, I'm not saying like previously I was not creative, but now I think I have more modalities and interesting venues or space to play with. So yeah, like as a happiness coach, I have many tools. So I am selected to Villa Lena, a boutique hotel in Tuscany, Italy. It's a hotel famous for its artist residency. So it's hotel, nature, crossover arts, and then there's one yogi. So it's like I'm the weird little black sheep in the bunch, but it will be fun. And so I would not be only teaching yoga, but also the hotel has invited me because I have experience in designing experience. Over there, it's a honeymoon wedding hotspots. So probably I would also host workshops for families and friends to create unforgettable moments.
Nice.
Depends what's are they there to celebrate. And so yeah, this is one really fun thing that they give me space to be creative. So this is one thing. I will go there in May. So see me in Tuscany. And I'm really happy about that because I'm a flower girl. So it's the flower season. I'm really excited.
I think the allergy season, but okay, all
I'm
that
sorry.
perspective.
I'm very sorry to hear that. Oh yeah, that can be. Oh, they have a really good florist over there. The flowers, it's impeccable how they meticulously designed.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I will play with the florist, like to collaborate a workshop, mindfulness workshop on that.
Nice.
And last week I have my own station at Anthropology, the fashion brand. So basically, and they're so kind. They printed out for me. My Instagram handle is also here as well. So I was there actually as an astrologer, but I'm not being like the woo-woo type of astrologer because astrology, yoga, coaching, they are all tools for us to look deeper. So I see everything for self-empowerment.
Hmm.
But the fun side is anthropology provided me space. They were like, we have a Galentine celebration for community. Can you station in our shop? I was like, sure, I'm happy. But can you give us a concept? So basically, like the whole ball was thrown to me. So I was like, okay, I will design. But on the other hand, coming from marketing, and I'm just curious all the time. Even I don't do marketing anymore, but I'm just always curious, like how things are displayed, what's the stats, and all this kind of activation and customer experience, the whole journey. Now I'm talking about UX and service design. They're all very valid. And what is a really smooth customer experience, CX? And so I was so happy that I decode a person's Venus because it's love. But I said I want to give them a Venus card. I designed it, and then their design team was so nice to make it prettier. So this is my arts direction. Thank you, anthropology. And this is like a prompts card because I'm coach, like action. You don't just sit here and just go home. So I gave everyone a personalized prompt, and this is the card. So I think this is a playful phase in my life because right now there will be more things to play with. But definitely, I'm tapping into my creative motor in my brain and just keep on playing bigger. And that's why I'm really happy and open to collaborate and just keep on, bringing in different modalities.
I love that you are merging different parts of yourself, you know? Because there's so many things that
Transferable skills, transferable skills, transferable skills. Three times I
exactly.
said.
There's so many things that you can do and so many things that you're very good at. I think whenever I can see a person realizing these things coming together, it's a beautiful thing to see what comes out of that. For you, I mean, because you've been building up and building towards your own happiness and joy in your own life. I was wondering though, how do you define that? Is there a difference between happiness and joy, firstly?
Mm.
And then secondly, which one are you helping yourself and other people to build towards right now?
Well, I put happiness, it's because it's actually an end goal for basically every human being. Whatever we do, whatever job we take, even the gym training, the car, the house, the kids' education, in so many ways, whether you want to get fit, you want to get rich, you want to become successful, people take action towards their happiness. And I'm here only to act as a catalyst to let them explore their own version, which means diving deeper and really become raw and honest with oneself. It's more like throwing the balls back to whoever is on the other hand. But I truly believe like it's really important to listen to yourself. And I know as much as we can be logical, but honor the emotional side of us, because these are all the signals, including so-called negative emotions. It's just a signal. It's just a nudge for you to act upon and create realignments. Like a highway or a plane, you just like, wee, you just change a little bit.
Well, for you, what's the thing that's given you the most happiness in your life so far?
Mm, it's always love. Love with my family and my loved ones, and also the bigger communities. And I always cherish them. It's the special connections. And then it's also the connection with myself and with the world. Yeah, to being able to play in this game called life. I really think every day is like a miracle. Well, there's a backstory of that, but like, yeah, I really think every day is a miracle and it's a game. And when I see life through this lens, then everything becomes way more fun and effortless as well. And the big challenge and things like that, they're like, okay, it's solvable. It's a game, like, let's do it.
I like that. It does definitely shape a perspective towards a problem. If you think of it as a game, that's a winnable game. I think sometimes, one can think of it as a game that you can't win. And that's unfortunate. I've definitely thought that at certain points, like, oh, this is not something that one can solve. I think, yeah, perspective makes a huge difference in that sense.
And there are many routes. I think the more I play, then I realize there are more routes than we thought. There's only like path A. There are many more routes, and there are many, many things, the possibilities. But our brain is just tuned into like certain things. Otherwise, we get overwhelmed with everything,
Of course, yeah.
all the senses and things like that. But that's why it's so important that consciously, intentionally disrupts the pattern and open our eyes a little bit. And even just when consciously, intentionally become uncomfortable just to get that exposure and to have that interesting rather than just reactive
Yeah.
or default mode.
Yeah, living life with intentionality is such a theme for me, I would say. The idea of really just consciously evaluating what it is one is doing and what it brings you, what it takes from you, and what would you want the actions and the choices in your life to lead to. Being conscious about those things, it helps to shape not just the decisions one has, but also the direction one takes in general, I think. And
You know what intrigues me? So I host New Year's planning workshop, and There's the reflection part and also the planning part. And there was a session, it always is values. And it's so, I would say 95, I can maybe even 97% of participants. I've taught hundreds, okay? And they would be taken aback to consider their values, because actually many of us, we have our team meetings, branding meetings. We would think like the mission and vision and values for the company we work for, but seldom one would take the time to consider our own mission, vision, and values.
Mm. Yeah.
And also, sometimes participants, okay, they come up with their values, but it also takes discipline to really remember the value, because when it's something new,
Yeah.
then it's kind of just bounce off. I mean, once I asked another participant, because she came back for coaching, and I was like, okay, do you remember the values we did? Like, because I remember we have the New Year's planning workshop together. I don't remember. Then I was like, well, then no wonder. But like, okay, I can listen to you, of course, but I'm not, I want the best for you. So take action. It's like, if you want that kind of thing, find a therapist, but I'm a coach, take action. It's like, why you forgot your own values 1 year later? Okay, but I think now it's really time for you to reconsider values, because you have a big crash. So look at it.
Yeah. One thing I like to consider is, sometimes we have the values, we think about these things as, tied to a mission, and the mission of one's life, or the mission to like where that's tied to a destination. You think about the end point of it. And because of that, maybe people don't necessarily think about always what it means in terms of the interim between today and that end point. But
Mm,
when I think about the values, for me at least, I think about have the actions and the behaviors, have the choices that I've made today, are they something that I'll be satisfied with at the end of the day? If I need an endpoint, then think about the end of the day, and like for every single day, I want to be satisfied with every single day that I live.
you
Such that,
raise a very valid point, because I agree that when we live our lives according to our values, then we would be truly, genuinely happy,
mm,
because it's
yeah,
the inside out integrity as well.
mm, yeah,
So that's why it's, if community is important for you, so maybe for a barista, like an aspiring barista, then it was like, I'm happy to open my own cafe, because every day I can host this space and talk to the people and let them exchange. And it's the go-to place for everyone. It's community. And that's why every night that barista goes to sleep, then there would be that sense of satisfaction. But if you put that barista in a Amazon warehouse, it will
yeah,
be maybe less communal.
yeah. Community is a key value for me. So I'm going to make sure, and I'm going to go back on my value sheet and my lamp of decision making processes and such. And I want to make certain that I do have that as one of my higher values, um, in terms of how I weight these things. But understanding that I'm taking up so much of your time today, I'm curious, for the things that you are prioritizing right now, the value that you're taking with you, um, from the rest of today to the rest of the year, what's that value going to be? It's going to guide you today.
Mm, well, today, the thing is, integrity is always my number one. So it's like just overarching life theme. Like, so that's, I don't need to mention that. It's just there. Community is also my values, or one of my values. But right now I'm using creativity to enhance community. So right now, creativity is really a
The
big
driver.
one for me.
I love that. And I know there are going to be some great things that come out of the application of creativity for you. I can't wait to see what's going to come out of that for you. So
There are so many things cooking,
I know. I'm just
or
like,
there's
I just
always
wait to see
things
what comes out of the
changing.
kitchen of your life. Like, this is going to be great. This is nice. But dear, I'm going to let you go, but know that I am so encouraged about like all the different things that you do. And I want to know, like, how can somebody connect with you or support you for the different things that you're interested in? the things that you're pursuing right now?
We can always connect. That's a simple first step.
Yeah.
And we can connect on Instagram or LinkedIn. And also, of course, if you see there is suitable events or space that my skills could be helpful to ignite and bring inspiration and even action for people, then why not? I really believe when people tap into their potential, they really become their radiant selves.
Absolutely. I love that you're tapping into your potential as well. And I can't wait to see how you lead other people to do the same. So thank you so much for being in my day. I really appreciate you, Ling.
Thank you. And let's all play big because it's just Monday. So you still have Tuesday to Friday to keep
Yes,
on playing big.
indeed. All right, dear. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.